Today is March 30th, 2026. Welcome back to No Michael channel. We have a huge spectrum today. A potential PyTorch moment for AI agents, OpenAI's quiet shift in how engineers work, security and risk engines built on Notion's model context protocol, new tools to stop you bleeding cash on LLMs, big corporate and hardware moves from Apple and MSI, and even some drama over at Elon Musk's xAI. Let's get into it. Our first story is a big one for anyone interested in autonomous agents. This news comes from MarkTech Post AI News and was released on March 29th, 2026. The article is titled Meet Evolve, the PyTorch moment for agentic AI systems replacing manual tuning with automated state mutation and self-correction. A team of researchers associated with Amazon has introduced Evolve, which they are pitching as universal infrastructure for building and improving agentic AI systems. If you have heard people complain that today's AI agents are mostly held together by brittle glue code and hand-tuned workflows, that is exactly the problem Evolve is going after. Right now, a lot of agent engineering is manual. Humans carefully script tools, states, and guardrails, then endlessly tweak prompts and logic whenever something breaks. Evolve tries to replace that with automated state mutation and self-correction. In other words, the system itself explores variations of its own behavior, evaluates them, and evolves over time. That is why MarkTech Post is calling it a potential PyTorch moment for agentic AI. PyTorch made deep learning experimentation fast and flexible. Evolve wants to do the same thing for agent workflows. So instead of hand-wiring harnesses, you define the environment and objectives, and the agent architecture iterates itself. Keep that phrase, harness engineering, in mind, because it connects straight into our next story. This news comes from a WeChat article on mp.weixin.qq.com and was released on March 29th, 2026. The article is titled OpenAI 工程师不写代码了，拆开 harness engineering， 看看他们到底在干嘛。It digs into what OpenAI calls harness engineering, the core idea. Instead of engineers spending their time writing traditional business logic code, they design environments in which agents can operate safely and reliably. In other words, software engineering is shifting from I write the function that does X to I design the tools, constraints, and feedback loops so an agent can do X without going off the rails. According to this WeChat article, OpenAI is reorganizing work so that humans build the harness, the tools, APIs, policies, and monitoring around the model. The agent navigates that harness to solve tasks, and the system emphasizes stability, reproducibility, and guardrails, not just clever prompts. If you put this next to Amazon-linked Evolve from MarkTech Post, you can see the emerging pattern. Big players are trying to standardize and automate the entire lifecycle of agents, from how they are evolved to the environments they live in. The agent is not a quick hack anymore. It is becoming an infrastructure discipline. As agents get more powerful, the big hidden risk is their tools. The external servers and services they call through things like the Model Context Protocol, MCP. The story comes from Dev Community and was released on March 29th, 2026. The article is titled, Who's Auditing Your AI's Tools? Building an ISO 27001 Ready MCP Security System on Notion MCP. The author asks a question most teams have not even thought about. Every time your agent calls a tool via MCP to read files, hit APIs, or query databases, who is making sure that MCP server is actually safe? They cite a 2025 research paper from the University of Delaware by Li and Gao, which analyzed over 67,000 MCP servers and found many servers lack proper output verification. Some registries can be hijacked because submissions are not well vetted, and sensitive data exfiltration through hidden network calls and credentials is a real documented attack vector. To address this, the article introduces MCP Audit Pub, a security audit system built for MCP and wired entirely into Notion MCP. According to DEV community, It inventories every MCP server your organization uses. It runs AST-based static analysis with a dozen analyzers that look for things like command injection, typo-squatted dependencies, hard-coded secrets, insecure network calls, and more. It pushes all results into Notion as structured databases, including server registry, scan history, findings, scan requests, and escalations. Non-technical team members can trigger scans directly from Notion with no terminal needed. And it is designed to satisfy ISO 27001 style controls, asset inventory, vulnerability assessment, audit logging, and continuous review. The key theme: as we move into an agentic world, your risk is not just, is the model safe? It is, are all the tools my model can touch secure and audited? This dev community piece shows one early blueprint for treating MCP servers like first-class security assets. Staying with Notion MCP, but shifting from security into project management. This news also comes from dev community and was released on March 29th, 2026. The article is titled Building a Project Risk Engine on Top of Notion MCP. It introduces Risk Radar, an agent that effectively becomes a project risk analyst living inside your Notion workspace. According to dev community, Risk Radar reads your projects and tasks from Notion via MCP with no direct API calls. It builds an in-memory dependency graph depends on relations between tasks. It then runs several analyses. Critical path to find the longest dependency chain that determines your true project end date. Single points of failure to identify people whose incomplete tasks block multiple downstream tasks, at-risk tasks to flag overdue items, tasks due soon that have not started, and near deadline tasks in progress, and cascade impact to walk the graph and see which downstream tasks are affected if one task slips. The coolest part, according to the article, when a task is overdue, the agent does not just flag it. It automatically propagates new deadlines through the dependency chain via MCP, updating Notion pages one by one. Mark one task as late, run the scan, and watch 8 downstream dates shift automatically in your Notion UI. The author also shares implementation details, parsing Notion URLs into normalized IDs, handling date properties with special date fields, and dealing with the fact that the system is I/O bound because every property read is a separate MCP call. When you connect this with the previous dev community article on MCP Audit Hub, a pattern emerges. Notion MCP is quietly becoming an operating environment for agents, not just for content, but for compliance, security, and project risk. It is harness engineering in the wild. Now, let's talk about money, specifically your LLM build. This news comes from dev community and was released on March 29th, 2026. The article is titled Stop Bleeding Money on LLMs, Introducing Otellix for Go. The author describes the familiar story. You launch an LLM feature, everyone is excited. Then the first month's API invoice arrives and reality hits. Existing observability tools either add their own per-event SaaS costs or do not give you hard budget enforcement. So the author built Otellix, an open source LLM observability SDK for Go, built on OpenTelemetry. According to the dev community piece, Otellix wraps the official SDKs for Anthropic, OpenAI, Google Gemini, and Ollama, standardizes metrics across providers, including input tokens, output tokens, and cache tokens, has a cost engine synced to 2026 era USD pricing. So every call returns an actual dollar cost, not just token counts, and exposes that cost right in the call result. So you can log this request cost immediately. The killer feature is Budget Enforcer. Fallback block hard stops requests when a user exceeds their quota. Fallback notify lets the request through, but triggers alerts when limits are hit. Fallback downgrade automatically switches users from premium models like Claude 3 Opus to cheaper options like Gemini 1.5 Flash or a local Ollama model when they exhaust their premium budget. It is fully open source, under MIT with sample Prometheus and Grafana dashboards via Docker Compose. Tie this back to the earlier stories. As we move toward always-on agents, your LLM usage stops being sporadic and becomes continuous. Tools like Otellix are part of the financial harness. They are how you keep autonomous systems from quietly burning through your budget. Let's zoom out to the broader AI ecosystem and some corporate moves. First, xAI. This news comes from Unwire HK, a Hong Kong tech news outlet, and was released on March 29, 2026. The article is titled xAI 联合创办人全数出走 Elon Musk 表示要从零重建公司. According to Unwire HK, the last two remaining co-founders of Elon Musk's AI company xAI have now left. That means all 11 of the original co-founders who started xAI alongside Musk are gone. The report notes that this has raised serious concerns in the industry about xAI's organizational stability. Musk is quoted or paraphrased as saying he will rebuild the company from zero. For a startup positioned as a major AI player, losing your entire founding technical leadership team is a big red flag. It raises questions about internal alignment, culture, and whether xAI can keep pace with OpenAI, Anthropic, and others while going through what is essentially a reboot. Next, Bluesky. This news comes from Gizmodo Tech News and was released on March 29, 2026. The article is titled, Bluesky has a new app and it's all about AI. Gizmodo reports that although Jay Graber is no longer CEO, she is still actively working, and Bluesky now has a new app that focuses heavily on AI. While the Gizmodo summary we have is brief, the headline description suggests Bluesky is leaning into AI-powered experiences as part of its decentralized social network vision. That might mean AI-driven feeds, content discovery, moderation, or personal agents embedded in the social graph. Taken together, Unwire, HK's coverage of xAI and Gizmodo's piece on Bluesky show two very different trajectories. xAI struggling with leadership churn and needing to rebuild. Bluesky pushing forward with AI-centric features, even as leadership changes at the top. In other words, the AI platform race is not just about models. It is about organizational stability and product execution around those models. Now, let's move to the hardware that's going to run all these models and agents. First up, Apple. This news comes from Unwire HK and was released on March 29, 2026. The article is titled Apple 拟重滚长江存储合作中国版 iPhone 或改用国产记忆体. According to Unwire HK, Apple is considering restarting its cooperation with Chinese NAND flash manufacturer YMTC Yangtze Memory Technologies as a supplier for iPhone memory, but specifically for iPhone sold within mainland China. The piece notes two key pressures: US export controls affecting supply chains and the global surge in memory prices. By using YMTC for China market iPhones, Apple could reduce costs and secure local supply while still navigating international regulatory pressure by limiting YMTC chips to domestic Chinese models. The article points out it is not yet clear whether Hong Kong units will be affected. Why does this matter for AI? Because the cost and availability of memory and storage directly impact how much on-device AI Apple can economically ship at scale. Cheaper and more flexible NAND sourcing in China could enable more powerful local AI features on those devices without blowing up the bill of materials. Next, the laptop side. This news comes from Gizmodo Tech News and was released on March 29, 2026. The article is titled MSI Prestige 14, Flip AI plus Review, a solid 2-in-1 laptop with some glaring flaws. Gizmodo describes the MSI Prestige 14 Flip AI Plus as one of the cheapest ways to access Intel's new AI-focused CPUs. It is a 2-in-1 form factor, so you get laptop and tablet modes, and it is positioned as an AI laptop with dedicated hardware for accelerating AI workloads. According to the Gizmodo summary, the upside is clear. This machine is an affordable entry point if you want Intel's latest AI silicon. But it also comes with glaring flaws, likely around build quality, display, thermals, or battery life that you will need to accept to get that price point. Together, Unwire, HK's Apple piece, and Gizmodo's MSI review highlight the same trend from two angles. Apple is quietly reshaping its supply chain to keep memory costs under control, which is foundational for mass-market AI on smartphones. PC makers like MSI are racing to market with AI laptops that bring new CPUs to consumers, even if the first wave has rough edges. The hardware layer is shifting fast to support an AI-first world. We have also got one entertainment-adjacent story that is not strictly AI, but it is in the news mix. This news comes from CNET Tech News and was released on March 29, 2026. The article is titled Marshals Release Schedule When Episode 5 Hits Paramount+. CNET notes that actor Luke Grimes leads this Yellowstone sequel series, and the article lays out the release timing for Episode 5 on Paramount+. We will not dive deep here because it is not AI specific, but as more streaming platforms experiment with AI-powered recommendations, personalization, and even AI-assisted production tools, it is worth watching how flagship shows like Marshals are promoted and surfaced to viewers in these AI-shaped content ecosystems. Let's tie all of this together. From MarkTech Post coverage of Evolve and the WeChat deep dive on OpenAI's harness engineering, we see a clear shift. AI is moving from smart functions to fully agentic systems, and the real work is in building the environments and evolution frameworks around those agents. Dev community's two Notion MCP projects, the MCP Audit Hub security system and the Risk Radar project Risk Engine, show how this plays out in practice. Agents that do not just generate text, but manage compliance, monitor tools, and reshape project plans in real time, all inside existing productivity platforms. Otellix, also on DV community, adds the missing financial guardrail. If agents are going to be always on, you need observability and hard budget controls so your LLM bill does not explode. On the macro side, Unwire HK's reporting on xAI's co-founders leaving and Apple's potential YMTC partnership, plus Gizmodo stories on Bluesky's new AI-focused app and MSI's AI Plus laptop show the broader ecosystem realigning around AI. Some companies are rebuilding from scratch, some are doubling down on AI-driven products, and the hardware and supply chains underneath are being reshaped to make AI at scale economically viable. If you want to dive deeper, check out MarkTech Post AI News for the full Evolve article from March 29th, 2026. The WeChat article on harness engineering at mp.wation.qq.com. Also from March 29th, the 3 dev community posts from March 29th, 2026 on MCP Audit Hub, Risk Radar, and Otellix for Go. CNET Tech News for the Marshals release schedule. Gizmodo Tech News for Bluesky's new AI app, and the MSI Prestige 14 Flip AI Plus review, and Unwire HK for the latest on xAI's leadership shakeup and Apple's potential YMTC memory move. If you want more curated, no-nonsense AI updates like this, make sure you subscribe and let me know in the comments which of these stories you want a deep dive on next. Evolve, harness engineering at OpenAI, or the MCP security ecosystem. Thanks for watching Normichael channel, and I'll see you in the next roundup.